Good morning, everybody. As the fourth keynote speaker today, I'm going to keep it brief. I have one slide, and I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time and just let you know what Rosedale is doing to hire and to retain drivers. I'm not here to dictate practices and principles for yourselves, but I want you to understand what works for us, what doesn't work for us. What Jane said earlier about being brutally honest is number one. We give out more no's than we give yeses. There's guys and girls out there that shouldn't be driving a truck, and there's guys and girls out there that should be. Okay? So I'm just going to go down these steps, and then I'll leave you with a thought for the day. Recruiting trends, we've sort of beaten the hell out of that this morning with odds and sods and going from walk-in applicants to phone calls to applications. Now we're into the Kijijis, the Craigslist, the Facebooks, LinkedIn, you name it. It's pretty mind-boggling for everybody. Recruiting trends. How many recruiters are in this room? Caroline, Jane, there's a lot. Have you not noticed in the last 18 months a difference in applicant? Where it's no longer, I want a job, I got to pay a few bills, I want to take my wife out to dinner at the end of the month. Now it's, I have to get a job. It's desperation. How many people get an absolutely truthful resume or application that doesn't have any mistakes on it? Well, if that was indeed true, we wouldn't need jobs for recruiters. We get people that will lie, cheat, steal to try and get into your family. And I refer to it as a family because I know Kriska's a family, we're a family, Jane Guns comes from family, okay? We have to protect our family's interests. We get people that will lie and say, yeah, I've got to show 10 years experience on my application because that's what's required for CTPAT, counterterrorism and stuff. But he gives 5 carriers for 10 years, and when you do the background check, he's only had 1. The 4 others don't even exist, and he's been on the road for 6 weeks. Anybody experience that kind of stuff? I can tell you from personal experience, I've phoned those 5 people, and I've talked to the same goddamn person. Okay? Recruiting takes time. The recruiting process takes time. So be careful in going too quickly to say, you're hired, you start on Monday. Because it's not that easy. I live by a rule of thumb, I call it the 5 A's. I teach the 5 A's. Anybody know the 5 A's? If you follow it to a T, you will hire good people. First A, appearance. Aptitude. Attitude. Ability to learn. And ambassadorship. What's ambassadorship? If I was the ambassador to New Zealand for Canada, what would I be there doing? Representing my country. So if you look at a candidate and you take that 5th A and you go ambassadorship, how is this guy going to represent Rosedale to our customers? We have good customers, we have loyal customers, they pay their bills, we get paid, drivers are happy, management's happy, and I can tell you for a fact my two partners for Rosedale will definitely be happy. Okay? So recruiting trends can be anything you want. We've come from, anybody deal with demographics? If you're a recruiter, you better know all about demographics. You guys know about demographics? Baby boomers. Most of us in this room are baby boomers. Between the ages of, well, I won't get into that, but ages of what? 1945 to 1965. Baby boomers, 1965 to 1985. X generation. 11% smaller than the baby boomers. You wonder why all those guys are coming to your office with 15 jobs on your resume and he's 32 years old? Because he can. Because for every 6 baby boomers retiring, there's 15 jobs for the X generation. So if a recruiter doesn't understand demographics when it comes time to say, okay, I got a baby boomer in front of me, and he's got 2, maybe 3 jobs, and I got an X generation, he's got 15 jobs on his resume, it doesn't make him a bad person. We're into the Y generation now. Anybody heard of the Y generation? 1985 to 2015. Your Y generation is 26 years old. Possible candidate for driving. Target area. The baby boomers are retiring. We can't change back time. We can't put back time or we'd be out of business. I'd be a billionaire and I'd be on Facebook all the time I wanted to be. Okay, Y generation is 26. What a market. But if you look at magazines and statistics with, what's it called, the Canadian Trucking Human Resources Council just did a survey, 90% of all incoming drivers today are immigrants. And don't get me wrong, immigrants are fantastic. The last 15, 20 or so owner-operators I've hired for Rosedale Transport have been from India. Fantastic drivers. But doesn't that tell you something about 90% of all incoming drivers are immigrants? What happened about the guys that are in school today? And I'm trying to be politically correct here, no discrimination. But we're missing a target market. I go into all these papers, Truck News Magazine, Rearview Mirror, and I'm not singling out Kim. You go into all the hundreds of different trucking magazines. What do they cater to? Baby boomers. Who's reading them? Y generation, X generation. Y generation is going to be that much bigger than the baby boomers. So target to the 26-year-olds, as an example. Okay, I'm just telling you about Rosedale, what works for Rosedale, what doesn't. How are we getting ready? What do you think is our best market to find drivers? What's the best resource? Kijiji, Craigslist. They're free. For some reason I have a hard time to Rosedale saying, I can use this, this, and this. It gives us the most number of contacts coming through the door. Well, it can't work, it's free. We've got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for advertising to get drivers. Do you think a Y generation really cares about our magazines that are at the truck stop? No. Okay? When I was a police officer for 14 years, you had to think like a criminal to catch a criminal. I'm a former truck driver, so I can remember the days that I was in a truck and what I was looking for. Number one that we're working right now is billboards. Anybody use billboards to hire drivers? Have you seen our superboards on Dixie Road yet? We have billboards between Windsor and Cornwall right now, just raking in applications one after the other. It's a quarter of the price for newspaper articles. Our successes, one at a time. We hire a driver, it's successful. It's even more successful if the person stays for longer than 90 days. Retention, retention, retention. Recruiting in the coming months, get out of the mindset of being stuck in 1945 and look at 2045. I guarantee you will have greater success. Leave you this thought. Y generation is 26 years old. They will be much larger than the baby boomers, and they are your up-and-coming market. There's so much to talk about in recruiting and recruiting techniques, and we've only had 5 to 7 minutes each to talk about it. We're here for a Q&A for a little while longer. I hope I provided you a little bit of information, and if you can't tell, I'm not very passionate towards the industry. Okay? Thank you very much for having me.